There's quite a bit of validation that needs to happen on the input. I showed it just a little bit there. If we run the program with an insufficient number of characters to represent the board, for instance here there's only 8 characters, then we're going to have to print feedback to the user to let them to know exactly what is the problem. Here I'm going to say dash dash board, and I'm showing that the value that they passed in, I'm trying to repeat that back and give them some feedback. I'm trying to say the board that you provided must be 9 characters entirely composed of dot, X, and O. So here we see it's all X's and O's and dots, but it's only 8 characters. Same thing that the player can only be X or O, right? So we're not going to allow player A. And here we have some really good feedback. We're saying that the argument player is an invalid choice, A, and we should only choose from X's and O's. And I hope that right away you think, oh, I could use choices in argparse to handle that. And then, we don't have to go about validating that at all. We just simply describe the argparse that the player needs to be a string that is only X or O. Likewise with the cell, it can only be an integer value, and it needs to be in the range from 1 to 9. And here you see that if I try to pass in cell of 10, I get back this argument that invalid choice 10, please choose 1 through 9. And again, I hope how you can immediately see how choices can fix that for you. Another thing is that they can't provide just the player or just the cell. It doesn't make sense to have one without the other. And rather than ignore this, I think that this should be an error. I think that we should tell the user that they have to provide both player and cell, or neither. And right there is where we're going to be playing with some Boolean combinations, which I think is a lot of fun. And lastly, if the cell is specified that they want has already been occupied by another player, or even by anyone, we need to say no, there's an error, that the cell that they've asked for is already taken. So for instance here we're trying to put player X in cell 1, and we see that is already occupied in this board. So all of this should happen and could happen inside just the getArgs function. You should be able to handle all this validation either with the way that you describe the argparse, the arguments, or by manually checking some things, and you can use the parser error that we've talked about, so that all of this validation happens before we ever get into the main body of the program. So try to see if you can make just this part happen before continuing forward.